Welcome to the kitchen. I'm Hannah. I run Building Feasts. I teach classes, I run supper clubs, I run foodie events. But most of all, I'm excited about getting you excited about cooking. So it's not about what I'm doing today, it's about what you're going to do with it when you go home. Once you've taken this with you, and if you leave with like one tip about how to get your chicken skin crispy or one idea about how to put a meal together, then we're golden. So today we're going to make probably my most made, simplest weeknight dinner. We're going to make my sherry vinegar soy sauce roast chicken. It is basically chicken thighs, which I took out of the fridge about an hour ago. It works really well with the chicken, but with thighs, this is like a way to be able to scale it up and down. Also, the leftovers are brilliant. So if you can get a bigger tray and make more than you need, this is a perfect opportunity to have lunch tomorrow. Rule 101 of chicken has to come out of the fridge an hour before you're going to cook it. If you take it out, so that's why, by the way, when it comes to barbecuing, that whole, oh, why would you have cold when you just turn on and put the meat on? Because the meat takes time to come to room temperature. You can't put it on cold, so you're waiting for the meat anyway, so you may as well wait for the cold. I mean, I know it's dirtier, right? But anyway, so this is, so you've got to take it out an hour before. Because when it comes to room temperature, it means that it will cook evenly, especially if you're doing boneless. If you put it in cold, what will happen is the skin will burn, the inside won't get cooked, it will cook unevenly, and it will lose its juiciness. So in an ideal world, if we weren't demoing this today, we would take it out the fridge, immediately marinate it, let it sit for an hour, and then put it in the oven. I love sherry vinegar. You can use red wine vinegar. I would use a darker color. I have a thing about balsamic. It's totally personal. Having said I love to add sweet, it makes everything too sweet. I want the contrast of acid and salt and sweet in everything. So, or maybe not so sweet, but definitely I don't feel like balsamic vinegar is acidic enough. The real trick, so the soy sauce is going to give it a little bit of umami. I'm going to answer your question in a minute, so I can talk and do. It's going to have a little bit of umami, and it's going to give it a bit of colour, which is what we want. I live with two types of salt in the kitchen. I have kosher salt and I have a sea salt. We're going to talk about salting, okay? And how one must salt their food, the beginning and the middle and the end. It's really, really important. If you don't salt at the beginning, the salt doesn't have the chance to work its magic on the flavour, and then it will never have enough depth of flavour, and what you'll do is you'll over-salt at the end. So I'm literally going to put some olive oil on here. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to put in a couple of bay leaves. Now you can put some garlic in here if you want to. It's the only thing I grow. I have not green thumbed. I have a really revolting looking bay tree right there, which is really not kept well, but it produces delicious bay leaves.
Is this essential for the dish?
Okay, so if you have nothing in your kitchen but fresh herbs and lemon, you need no other seasoning ever. We're going to zhuzh. I'm going to get some Aleppo pepper, which I forgot to do. I use Aleppo pepper with reckless abandon. Before we put this in, I'm just going to give you a few tips on roasting your chicken. Okay, so in order to get good jus, which no one's making gravy, let's be really clear. We are taking the goodness we have here and we're making the most of it. When you make a chicken that's in a sauce or in a marinade, what's going to happen is, because of the way chicken is, it generally, even the best chicken, seems to have water put into it quite often. You'll find your chicken's quite watery, and that when you roast it, it will release all of this stuff. So if you're going to put a liquidy marinade your chicken, you want to make sure that the liquid does not come more than a third of the way up the side, because if it does, when your chicken releases its juice as it cooks and the fat comes out and the water content comes out, it will become too liquidy for the skin to brown. So if you've ever done that and you've been like, oh my God, I've got all that amazing gravy at the bottom, how fantastic, but my skin's not brown, it's because there's too much liquid. So if that ever does happen, tip it a little bit out. I'm gonna add a little bit of water here because I really like to cook my chicken high and fast. So this is gonna go in at 200, not at 180, not at 160, we're gonna go high. We're gonna give it a good fucking blast of heat. I'm gonna add a little tiny splash of water. So there's gonna be like a little mint infusion in this. That's going to rest for a minute while we just finish everything else. So sometimes, and I am so far from food stylist, the same way I was so far from interior stylist, like you just do what you think looks right. But actually having a few green herbs just lifts it from being brown. Shall we dish?